Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Happy Chirp. आज की जो हमारी स्टोरी है, it's a story of courage, it's a story of resilience, and honestly it's a story of not giving up. जो हमारी guest हैं, everything that she's done and everything that she's been through shows you how nothing is impossible and how you don't have to quit. Assalamu alaikum Sana.
Assalamu alaikum, Hamna.
How are you? I'm good.
Thank you.
Jinx.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
Not at all, anytime.
Honestly, it means a lot that you took out the time to share your story with us. And I know कि बहुत सारे लोग इसको बहुत appreciate करेंगे.
I hope so.
हाँ जी, ज़रूर करेंगे. So, Sana, before we, talk about your life after 2010.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you, growing up, what was your life like? Have you always grown up here in Islamabad? What were your parents doing? What was it like?
So, interestingly, I was, my mom was pregnant with me during the Gulf War. And my family was in Kuwait and they had to migrate to Pakistan. And her 9 months were almost over. So I could have been born anywhere during that journey, all the way from Kuwait to Iran to Turkey and then to Pakistan. Even to the point that people took pictures of her to try and show what a crazy situation, those people were going through because my mom was just about to burst and they weren't sure if, she'd survive or I'd survive. But we managed somehow, I guess. And then
You stayed in?
I stayed in, yes. And I was born 12 days after they came to Pakistan.
Acha.
And I was born in Pindi, and we've lived our lives in Pindi. I went back to Kuwait, I think, when I was 4 or 5 for a little while. But then the entire family shifted again to Pakistan. My father was still working in Kuwait, but all of us moved back to Pakistan.
Acha.
And we had our schools in Islamabad, but we used to live in satellite town, Rawalpindi.
How many siblings?
So we are 3. I have 1 older brother and 1 older sister. And I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest. Sahi.
Yeah.
So what was your family life like growing up? Was your father around? Matlab, was he working in Kuwait? Or was he with you guys?
So he was working in Kuwait for a long time. To be honest, I don't remember exactly when he came back. Like he retired and he came back. But I think I was old enough by that point. I think I was maybe 9, 10 or something, or 10, 11, around this time, that he came back to Pakistan. He retired and he came to the country. Before that, he used to just visit and he used to come for a while and then he used to go back. But it wasn't like that, it was never in my mind that, oh, my dad's not around, not in that
too
sense.
Small also.
I was too young also, you're right. So it was okay. It was just exciting to see my dad, when he used to come back. And it was just, that was the part we were looking forward to. All the chocolates that you'd get or all the presents you'd get was the exciting bit. But obviously, other than that, life wasn't that great because my mom and my dad didn't have a very happy marriage, you could say. It was very precarious. And the thing is that obviously my brothers and sisters have seen more of it, so they remember more of it. And it was happening when I was very young also, at the time that I don't have much memory of. But I do have flashbacks, even flashbacks from fights in Kuwait. I mean, I was under 5. After 5 years old, I was in Pakistan, like we were here permanently. But so there's also a lot of flashback from that time. But I don't remember much of it. But I do know that from now I know, obviously, from the stories that my mom has told me that this was something that had just started right after marriage and it had been going on since then. So the crux of it, I guess, I mean, you could dissect my father's personality and try and understand why he is the way he is, considering his own childhood and his family life and the troubles he faced. And he went to Kuwait at 17 with nothing, knowing nothing, and went there just in the blue to find work for his family and support them. He lost his father young, very young. I've never seen my dada. He passed away after my mom got engaged to my dad. They're cousins, by the way. They're first cousins.
Oh,
yeah.
Acha.
That happened, and then 4 years later, after the engagement, they got married. And so I don't know. There are lots of reasons that you can understand why my dad was the way he was, but I don't think that justifies, putting everyone else's lives in so much trouble, and especially my mom's, and or taking out your life's frustration on someone that obviously in our society husbands sort of feel entitled towards. There's that imbalance in marriage, and so my mom was kind of the first person that was sort of like in his power or under his control. I don't know how else to explain it, but like otherwise he was just doing stuff for his family and his mother and his siblings, and they were sort of his children and his family. But my mom was, I think, the first person that he could sort of take it all out on. And I think that's what happened. But in any case, my mother had to go through a lot, and it wasn't just simple arguments. It was very unhealthy to the point that there was a lot of domestic abuse. There was a lot of domestic violence. And on random things, my father had temper issues. So it wasn't that something so huge has happened that, the things are getting out of hand, or it was just, it had become a habit, it had become a pattern, and it had been going on since forever. And to the point where, I don't know if I've gone too far or if you want to. Okay.
You keep speaking.
So, I mean, to the point where he has thrown furniture at her. He's broken her bones. She has been bruised numerous times. We used to wake up to her screams. There used to be people in the house, and something used to happen. He used to take her to the bedroom and beat her and make sure she comes out smiling, and she did.
Oh God.
And a lot of the times when I was younger, I didn't understand it. I believed her, when she pretended it, I thought it was okay, because she was so good at it also.
Yeah.
And she
to put up a brave face.
Yeah, she was so good at hiding it that I thought, okay, nothing actually happened. But then, it had become so common that, and I'd grown by that time to the point where I realized, okay, this is what's going on. And we'd be knocking the bedroom and trying to get in. And then there was this huge escalation into your mother is this, your mother is that. Lots of, gali galoch, lots of humiliation, lots of things. And this is it, I'm leaving her. He never did. He was just always threaten it. And then, this whole, it was very few. It's so strange for me now looking back that we were in such a, we were going normal schools. We were going in, we were going to Beacon House. We had, normal interactions and everything. And we were, living in the city and everything. It was an urban setup, but the family inside was so rural and feudal, and his mindset and the concepts that we saw was so, it's so strange for me now that, we were living that. Then it's a norm. You know how at the end of the day, I feel like however dysfunctional a family might be, it sort of becomes normal for you if you're living in it.
Yeah.
Like it was like now looking back and trying to think that you're living in a house where every 4 or 5 months this sort of a thing is happening seems, now I don't think I can do it all over again. But at that point it was like,
you were living with it.
like ye hamare ghar mein ye hota hai. It was that thing in the head ke bas aise hi hota hai. And that had just become this normal thing. And I just feel like I don't know, thinking about the fact that my mother had to go such a feudal setup makes me wonder, how did my dad even learn all of these things? The fact that that's okay to do, or that it's okay to punish her like that. And then he used money as a weapon all his life also, even while we were staying at home. Like just in the aftermath.
Your mother didn't used to work?
No,
she never worked?
No, she's never worked. She's always been a housewife. And she's the sort of woman, for her, she was a very simple woman. Like she was very confident. She was very pampered in her family. She had 4 brothers who used to pamper her a lot. And, she was this doll and she was beautiful. And from that, coming to a point, how like much she was broken is so, it's very disturbing for me to think of that. But, like my dad, I feel like he, I don't know, I felt like he couldn't deal with that aspect of hers also. But my mother, she was very simple. For her husband and her children, that was her aim and purpose in life. And she was also part of that idea that her husband is superior in a marriage, or he needs to be
she has
respected, he needs to
internalized
be
it, and
worthy of more.
yeah.
तो उनके लिए वो भी conflict था दिमाग में कि even though he's treating you like shit, it's okay because it's my husband and I have to do this and that and be the good wife and all of that, I think. I mean, she was trying to deal with all of this, but I think this concept of hers also came into that. So basically, my dad then used to have this thing that even though sometimes we used to leave the house after, because he'd kick us out, even if it's in the middle of the night, anytime. We spent nights on the street also, right? Because it used to escalate. So he used to just tell us to get out.
Get so angry that he would tell you to leave?
And then he'd tell us to get out with her also. So sometimes we have spent nights on the street as well, right outside our house. Sometimes we'd gone to our nanos, and then it used to be just a couple of months. We used to stay there, and there was no money. Obviously, he wouldn't pay. So we had to come back. And my mother would have to go through all of these conditions that my dad put before he'd let her in, which were very feudal in terms of making her apologize in ways like touch my feet or put your head on my feet type things.
Oh my God.
He's done all of that. And my mother... And a lot of this, I don't know, Hamna. A lot of this I found out later.
You didn't see...
I didn't know then.
These things
yeah,
happen?
Because sometimes my mother used to pretend that he apologized. Sometimes she used to tell us he apologized to make us feel like our dad is not that bad. And then much later in life, she has told me that this has never happened. Never in her life that has happened. And to the point that now I know of things that have gone on in the bedroom that I didn't know then also.
Yeah.
The kind of humiliation she has spoken about now in terms of their sexual interactions were not very clear to me, obviously, when I was a kid, and she never mentioned them, but now, like, randomly,
she will obviously shadow these things
obviously,
from her children.
she didn't want her kids to have that, and we were younger then also. Now, like, obviously, I can talk to my mother on a different level. I was just randomly one day, just going on about what, our society thinks about these things and how marital rape is a concept, so,
Comment.
I mean, it's like, why is this like something that people don't understand? And all of a sudden, I was just going on and about discussing something, and she just said, that was a norm. Like, that's what has always happened to me. And, to find out these things is just, I don't know how to even explain it, because I know what my mom has been like. Like, I haven't lived the life my mom has because I had a very difficult childhood. But my mom had a brilliant childhood. She was pampered and she was loved, and she had, she was this confident, vocal person, no bullshit person also, okay? Like, and she was smart and everything. And for her to break down so much and to take so much shit makes me feel so bad. That, her family basically, which is why we used to come back, because her family, obviously no one wants to take care of anyone for too long, even if they're your relatives and your siblings and everything. So we'd come back, and then it started all over again after 6 months. And even sometimes when we didn't used to move, we used to be in the same house, but he'd stop giving money. So we'd stop going to school. The electricity used to go. The gas used to go because bills were not paid. And when we used to suffer that much, then my mom used to think, okay, you know what? I'm doing the same thing as the father. I'm also hurting my children. It's fine, whatever. I don't care about my ego. I don't care about my humiliation.
The kids, she would go
I'll
back.
just do it. Let's just, make up and everything should be all right.
Yeah, so that at least the kids can go to school.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
And this wasn't her, in the first incidents that she talks about, the first time he beat her, was not much. He just like shook her arm or something. But she was just the person that, like I said, no bullshit. She couldn't take it. She's like, I spent that whole night. It was so difficult for me to stay up that whole night with this man, thinking that this is the man who has humiliated me so much. I will not live my life. No one was born then. None of the children were born. And she said, I'm going to leave. And she did. She waited for the morning. She took a rickshaw and she went to her parents' house. But they brought her back. She said, I'm not going to live with him anymore. And one of my mother's brother brought her back. And then my dad's like, I'm not even talking about anything till she touches my mother's feet, because my mother called her and she didn't turn back. She still went to get the rickshaw. So first she apologized to her, and then we'll talk about anything else if you want to. And imagine that my mother's brother, my mamu, told her
to do it. To compromise and just make your marriage work.
Yeah. So from this person who's like, I'm not even going to take a person touching my arm, to the person who had her bones broken, is just reflects you how much you can actually break a person, you know, like even
take everything from them.
out from them. And she's done that for 30 years. And every time also simultaneously sympathizing with my dad, also simultaneously thinking he might change or that she might be able to change her, that he would actually finally realize. But you know, I know now that it's redundant to think that no one changes unless they want to. No one realizes anything unless they want to. And my mother obviously didn't understand that. She really hoped for that change to come all this time. For us, obviously. You know.
Yeah. So you were growing up and all of this was happening, right? How did you see your dad in all of this? Because your father is your father, right?
Yeah.
तो I think उस चीज़ को realize करना कि your father is so wrong, वो बड़ी मुश्किल चीज़ नहीं है और
Hey, I mean, obviously, you know, the kind of things you say, like I just told you, things I found out now, like really make me question, you know, like, this is my dad. You know, this person is my dad who's done all of this. How do I reconcile? Because at the end of the day, his blood does flow in me, right? And it's just something that you can't, even if you want to, you cannot set yourself apart from this relationship. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just, I mean, I don't know what I feel for him today, but growing up, like, I just, like, obviously, initially, when I was a child, it didn't used to make much sense to me. It was just like, okay, you know, parents, I just want both of them, and I want them to be okay, and I want, you know, my father and my mother. And it wasn't like who's right or wrong. It was just like, okay, bas ye theek ho jaye abhi. But then as I was growing up and he was, you know, like beating her and stuff or losing her temper on little things or humiliating her, I was just like, listen, anything is good. Anything is better than this place. I don't care if we don't have school. I don't care if we don't have money. At least our life won't be a joke. Let's just go. And my mother, obviously I was younger, you know, and naive probably. My mother obviously knew कि वो कैसे करेंगी, कहाँ से पैसे आएंगे, you know, realities क्या होती हैं, and like, you know, how the other family around her obviously was telling her नहीं अपना घर रखें, बच्चों का सोचें, मियाँ का सोचें type बातें. So she would always get confused and come back to this thing. So for me, I knew then that, you know, we need to leave him. But what I felt towards him, I think growing up, there was a lot of anger, obviously. There was a lot of hatred bhi, I think, kya hi sakte hain. Because, you know, in the moments that he used to do those things, he was very terrorizing. He was very powerful. He was very terrorizing, and he used to do it for hours and hours. There's one fight used to last hours. It wouldn't end. And I just feel like this moment pe, you know, what can you feel for a man like that? But I think towards the end, when I grew up more in my teens, then I felt like, you know, because all of us had become so separate from him. My sister had stopped talking to him at all, living in the same household. So she was completely shunned from him. Even when things were okay, she was just like, I'll keep a consistent stance. I don't care. One day you're fine, one day you're not. I'm done with you. My brother, he's a boy. His gender affiliation was different. I think he'd sympathize. He'd still be okay. But, you know, they were doing their own things growing up also. And then I was younger, so I felt, you know, okay, I felt bad, to be honest. Like, hum sab ek kamre mein hote the, and dad used to be in the lounge alone, so I used to feel like, hey, bichare, you know, like he's alone sitting, watching TV, I might as well should give him come, even though I didn't want to, because it was so exhausting. So I was just like, but then I used to try and make that effort. So हमारा, I guess, थोड़ा बहुत वो हो गया. And then, you know, I developed a love for literature because of him. He was talented, you know. It's so sad that all of this talent and potential is to waste because, you know, you're not doing so many other things that you have to do right. But he has explained, for example, Jawab-e-Shikwa and Shikwa to me. He's the one who's instilled this love for Urdu literature in me. And he used to write. I write also now. And like even ghazals, like Mujhse Pehli Si Maut is one of my favorites, and he's the one who's explained it to me. And then, you know, at that age I was just like, oh, I get it, you know, because he explained it, I got it, and I used to really enjoy that. So I think that's probably the only memory I sort of have of connecting with him on a certain level. बहुत बचपन में उन्होंने क्या किया क्या नहीं किया, प्यार तो obviously किया ही होगा बचपन में या whatever. He used to try and compensate these things by getting, you know, food and stuff or taking us for outings. because that's the only sort of entertainment we had. We never used to meet any relatives. Like Nano or ki side ko milna to was off completely, off limits, and Dadi ki side were also not meeting us. So we didn't have anybody growing up. So our entertainment was him taking up. But then I started resenting that also, because especially on Eids and stuff, I wanted to be with my family and meet my cousins and do normal things and have a house where people come and go and it's a happy place. But his offer to us was limited to just taking us out sometimes, and that just seemed, pointless. I was just like, don't do it. I don't want this. तो बस मिक्स्ड फीलिंग्स ही थी. हाँ, मिक्स्ड फीलिंग्स ही थी, लेकिन आई थिंक 2010 तक या बहुत बड़े होते तक तो फिर तो ज़्यादा बस गुस्सा ही था एंड indifference bhi tha, बस के but just done with this person.
Yeah, like outings can't make you happy anymore,
exactly.
obviously.
Yeah. So I remember I was a child, very young, and I used to get some sort of chocolate or something, and my siblings used to eat it, but I just made a point कि मैं नहीं खाऊँ. They used to stay in the fridge and I used to be so tempted, but I was like, no, this is compensation. I'm not eating this. But yeah.
So then how and when did things change?
So things just changed very randomly. I think पता नहीं कैसे हुआ honestly, because ऐसी बहुत दफ़ा ऐसी लड़ाइयाँ हो चुकी हैं in the past, like all our lives इस तरह हुआ है. तो इसी तरह की एक random लड़ाई थी, and not stupid issues, like why is the light on? It used to just escalate into something. Or sometimes, it's also because the fact that one of my mamus is also married to one of my popos. तो वो ये भी था कि if that household had a problem, he used to come back and say, oh, your brother this shit and you are this and all of that. So that was also one of the major
So his
reasons.
sister was married to your
Mamu.
Yeah.
But to be fair, in retrospect, मुझे लगता है उसका इतना ज़्यादा problem नहीं था. मसला ज़्यादा ये है कि he's psychologically, really screwed up for whatever reasons. And he had temper issues, and he had a lot of problems with the way he was dealing his life. He had complexes and all of that, and they used to come out on my mom. Basic crux तो ये, उसकी वजह आप कुछ भी कर लो. अच्छा, so basically what happened, इसी तरह की कोई एक चीज़ हुई थी randomly, and it was so random, honestly. I remember कि मैं यूनिवर्सिटी का मेरा पहला सेमेस्टर था उस वक्त 2009 के एंड में, या 2010 का स्टार्ट था, I don't know. So
university का पहला
yeah, my university first semester of my university. And I'd come back from the university and I had taken a nap, and my nap लेके उठी, and my dad was in the lounge and he had some math का कोई problem, ऐसी कोई random stupid सी कोई riddle type, और उन्होंने पढ़ा. He was proud of it कि वो ये करके दिखाओ and everything ना, बड़ा उन्होंने wait किया हुआ था कि ये कुछ होगा. I was just like, मैं भी उठी हूँ क्या, I don't want to do this. अच्छा, तो ऐसे ही करके कहा हाँ ये वो, and he just laughed. Like I remember him sitting there and laughing and like thinking कि बड़ा कोई amazing, उन्होंने बात कर दिया. अच्छा, ये मुझे एक memory random सी याद है. उससे कुछ घंटों बाद ना, the fight happened and it escalated into a lot of things, and he like did the same shit. He beat up my mom and everything, and I remember he had food earlier and he threw the plates and there was salan on the walls and everything and a lot of crap. And he said something in that ladai about my mother's father, like my nana. उनके बारे में उन्होंने उनको कुछ कहा, okay? Because I remember that because my mother later after that, this was somewhere 11-12 this happened. My mother said that that's it, I can't take that he said this to me. Because my nana is was the most like docile, benign sort of person, okay? Like he was just and he was just like, you wouldn't even notice he's in the room sort of a guy, and he was like really like बहुत वो worship करते थे और बहुत वो अपने उसमें रहते थे, and he was just a very,
he's harmless.
Yeah, harmless soul. Like उनको कोई बुरा कह ही नहीं सकता. He was so sweet to everyone, and he was just a very nice person. तो आई डोंट नो, जो भी लाइक नानो को तो उन्होंने बहुत दफ़ा बहुत सारी चीज़ें कही हुई हैं, लाइक पता नहीं, बस मम्मा एक ट्रिगर होता है गैस मम्मा को उस वक्त, लाइक शी कुडंट टेक दैट he has said something about my dad who is like an angel. So she said, that's it, we're leaving. So my father, after the whole thing, Larisha had gone to his room and locked it. And we were living in a house then, we only had 2 rooms. So one room, all of us used to sleep in. Like my sister, my brother and me, and then my mother also most of the time. So all 4 of us used to be in that one room. So she just said, just get your thing. My mother's stuff was in my dad's room. Some of our stuff was here. So she just said, just pick up whatever you want to pick up. And,
so
and my clothes were also in my mother's room because यहाँ पे वो wardrobe नहीं था. So it was just a spontaneous thing because she said, "Bas, I'm done." So we picked up some clothes and we picked up a few things. We called 2 taxis. उस वक्त तो करीम वगैरह भी नहीं होता था. Taxi. My brother went to get some taxis and everything. And 3 बज गए इसमें और हमने taxi कराई towards Nano's house and we just left. Like I remember, we just looked.
With no plan? With
No plan, nothing. It was just, I'm telling you, I woke up from the nap. It was a random day in my life. I had just woken up, did a stupid math problem.
You were expecting it to be another day.
Normal another day tha aur raat tak we were out of the house. And since that day.
And your father had no idea that you guys left?
हाँ, he didn't. He had gone to his room. He was sleeping. अब उनका आवाज़ आई हो नहीं आई हो पता नहीं. He never came out to check even.
He could have never imagined actually that you would.
I think he could have imagined it because ऐसे बहुत दफ़ा हुआ था कि हम चले गए थे नानो के घर. I don't think he would have imagined it कि वो 10 साल गुजर जाएंगे और कोई आएगा नहीं वापस. Like this is it. To be fair, none of us could imagine that. This had happened so many times. बस ये था कि अच्छा another one of these days. थोड़ा सा मुझे different लगा था ममा का resolve because she had said कि बस that's it. You know, now I'm like. But I was just like, अच्छा, let's see, whatever it is. But in my head, I was like, ठीक है, अगर this is the resolve, okay, great. I remember not feeling too bad about the future. I remember thinking, okay, it's the end of this, but I was just like, I was hopeful कि चलो ठीक है, at least we're going to build something, you know, won't be a joke. So we went to Nano's, and because everybody would always tell her to go back, this time she lied that he had already given her a divorce. So she lied to everyone so that she didn't have to deal with all the crap.
Because otherwise they would.
Yeah, otherwise same shit would happen. So, and then within a week she also wanted to leave Nano so that nobody would feel, you know,
burdened.
that a burden. Yeah. So we found a place in G11. She had some gold on her that she used to sell and get some money. And we got a place in G11. We got a flat. And we stayed there. Remember, the flat was empty. We had no furniture, nothing, obviously. And one of the rooms was already covered. It was winters, it was January, it was extremely cold. It was this top flat in that building. And I remember all of us just slept on that carpet and had nothing, no chadar, no quilt, nothing. And I got so sick because I was so cold, I had a fever. I just remember that was the first night in that flat. और फिर हम वहाँ पे रहे तो काफ़ी अरसे तक भी obviously कोई चीज़ें नहीं आ सकी. Then people obviously helped. A lot of my friends helped so much. My relatives helped so much. Some of mama's friends helped so much. Relatives से ज़्यादा honestly friends helped a lot. बहुत सारे relatives ने किया भी, but उसमें से बहुत सारी चीज़ें over time came with a cost. And you know, after a while they were like, you know, live your own life. I mean, you know, figure it out. Like, you know, so obviously, and we knew that from the beginning. There's a limit to it, so it's fine.
Yeah, nobody's entitled. Like, you're not entitled to other people's help.
Exactly. So we didn't even expect that from them.
So how did you guys manage then?
So basically, my sister had a job उस वक्त in LGS. She was a teacher. तो वो आई थिंक उसने अभी स्टार्ट किया था कुछ 1-2 महीने पहले. तो वो उसकी एक जॉब चल रही थी. That was 15,000. That was the only income coming in the house. The rest was gold that we had, some of it. तो वो जितना अर्सा चल सका था वो हमने उस तरह किया. And my mother, to be fair, she had also been selling gold all her life also. जब भी वो एक 6 month का period आता था उसमें हमेशा यही होता था कि she used to provide for us. And my dad knew that she would do it, so he wouldn't care also. कि ठीक है चलने दें जब तक हो रहा है. So yeah, then that happened. And then obviously my mother said कि आपको छोड़नी पड़ेगी education because we can't afford it. So
were all of your siblings studying?
No, so my brother and my sister were done with their education. My brother he had given his CFA exam, level 1 or level 2 की तैयारी कर रहा था उस वक्त. And my sister was teaching in LGS.
Yeah, okay.
But she was also done with her education. My brother at one point was part of the Air Force, but then he came back and then he finished his education. And my sister also did her A-levels and her education by just, you know, we used to fill out all the scholarship forms, all the need-based forms, और ये सारी चीज़ें वाली चीज़. उसमें भी एक point पे उसका A-levels में भी problem था funding का. So she couldn't have completed her A-levels का second year, but one of the teacher actually helped her, and he sort of organized this thing with some NGO who then sort of provided money for her education. So she did her last year from LGS. तो फिर वहीं से वो then she shifted from Beacon to LGS because of that.
ठीक है.
And then she did that. So what was I saying before that?
Sorry. So basically your mom, she said कि छोड़नी पड़ेगी
हाँ,
education.
so she told me कि नहीं है. तो I said हाँ ठीक है, I understand that. You know.
What did that feel like?
I mean it was scary obviously, but मुझे सेंस
समझ आ रही थी ना.
हाँ, तो obviously नहीं चल सकती, you know, like कि अब there was no money. तो ठीक है, and I was just like, okay, you know, I'll try and look for a job or whatever. And then, you know what, interesting, I don't know if you know this actually, but interestingly, मुजम्मिल से मेरी बात हुई इस बारे में. And
at the time,
yeah.
Did you used to tell your friends about your situation?
So जब हमारी सिचुएशन थी बैक इन सैटेलाइट टाउन व्हेन यूज्ड टू लिव, तब इतनी ज़्यादा बात उस तरह नहीं होती थी. मतलब पता था वैसे चाइल्ड ऑल्सो, सो इतनी समझ भी नहीं थी, और लोगों को भी शायद इतनी समझ नहीं आ रही थी. तो थोड़ी बहुत कुछ लोगों को पता थी, बट इतनी ज़्यादा इस बारे में बात होती ही नहीं थी. एंड वैसे भी आई वाज अ चाइल्ड, मैं स्कूल में और चीज़ों में लग जाती थी. But I think once like obviously we shifted and I started like, you know, growing up and then talking about things or having heartfelt conversations with friends. तो मैंने शुरू में किया, पता है, कोशिश की थी शेयर करने की, बट मैंने बहुत जल्दी ये रियलाइज़ कर लिया कि एंड थ्रू नो फॉल्ट ऑफ देयर ओन, पीपल weren't able to understand me.
Yeah,
they couldn't understand my situation. And मुझे ना बात करके I don't know, I used to feel worse in a way, like I used to feel vulnerable and exposed and not really like understood. And I said, you know what,
like, you know, when you share and the other person doesn't really understand, you feel like कि मैं ना ही बोलती, because it makes you feel worse.
और मुझे ज़्यादा बुरा लगने लग जाता था for the other person कि मैंने उनको uncomfortable कर दिया है. Now they don't know how to react. Yeah, now they don't know what to say to me. तो let's just, you know, not talk about these things. तो I stopped very soon. मैंने फिर इस बारे में छोड़ दी थी बात करना. फिर बहुत बाद में तो I did again. लेकिन then, you know, I knew कि this wasn't what, you know, like when we're hanging out, people don't want to hear my sob story all the time. So I just stopped.
Yeah, so you were saying
हाँ, but मुझे से पता नहीं randomly मेरी इस बारे में बात हुई, इसी तरह बस ये बात हो रही थी कि हाँ, you know, like I'm going to leave like the university and find a job and whatever I have to support. तो मुजम्मिल ने मुझे कहा, मुझे याद है कि कोई सीन नहीं है, तुम एजुकेशन कैसे छोड़ सकती हो, लाइक यू कांट, लाइक यू नो, you'll waste your years and everything, or you have to finish your education. And I was just like, listen, I can't, because even अगर मैं कर लूँ, and he's like, हम कुछ कर लेंगे.
We'll figure something out.
I was like, listen, even if you figure something out ना, उसके अलावा भी मुझे घर पे एक्चुअल में पैसे देने हैं. ओके, सो आई नीड टू लाइक सपोर्ट होम, सो आई नीड टू फाइंड अ जॉब, सो आई नीड टू बी एबल टू गिव मनी एट होम. सो इट्स नॉट जस्ट कि मेरी एजुकेशन फंड हो जाए, मुझे एक्स्ट्रा मनी चाहिए टू सपोर्ट द हाउस ऑल्सो. तो बोथ दे कांट हैपन, बोथ द थिंग्स, के एजुकेशन के लिए भी पैसे हों और घर में भी जाएँ. और एंड ही सेड, लिसन, वील डू इट. एंड कैन यू इमेजिन, ही सेड कि हम बनाएंगे एक जॉइंट अकाउंट, और हम जॉइंट अकाउंट खोलते हैं, उसमें मैं और हम सब दोस्त इकट्ठे करके हर महीने विल गिव यू, हर 1,000 दे देंगे. इतने तो दोस्त हैं ही हैं, तो 30,000 तक हम लोग हर महीने करते हैं. इज दैट इनफ? लाइक ही आस्क्ड मी कितना होगा सही, तो मैंने कहा 30 तक तो मुझे उनको लाइक करना है, लाइक, और एजुकेशन इतने, तो हर महीने इतना जाएगा उसमें से, और बाकी जितना बचेगा एंड एवरीथिंग. तो ही सेड कि हो जाएगा. और यू कैन यू इमेजिन, वी वेंट टू दिस अस्करी बैंक एंड ट्राई टू ओपन अ जॉइंट अकाउंट. दे सेड कि आप लोगों का कोई रिलेशनशिप ऐसा नहीं है कि आप लोग जॉइंट अकाउंट खोलें. उन्होंने नहीं खोला. बट ही सेड व्हाटएवर, इट्स फाइन, ओपन एन अकाउंट. वही अकाउंट है मेरा आज तक. कैन यू इमेजिन, ही मेड मी ओपन एन अकाउंट एंड ही सेड कि आप ना, हम लोग कर देंगे, और ये वो. एंड ऑब्वियसली इवन देन आई न्यू कि बेचारा बहुत वो बड़ी हार्टफेल्ट चीज़ करे, लेकिन बहुत ओवर एम्बिशियस चीज़ है, सस्टेनेबल नहीं है. इट्स नॉट दैट सिंपल टू कलेक्ट मनी फ्रॉम पीपल एंड देन जस्ट, यू नो,
एंड इट्स नॉट अ सस्टेनेबल थिंग. कब तक होगा
ये वो, कब तक होगा. बट बिकॉज ऑफ हिज एफर्ट्स स्टिल, him and Usman, another friend of ours, they did collect the money. And to this day, to be honest, I don't know who all have contributed.
Muzammil has never told me this.
He mustn't have. लेकिन उसने और उस्मान ने इकट्ठे किए पैसे फ्रॉम आवर फ्रेंड्स, एंड अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल डिड कंट्रीब्यूट. मुझे आज तक नहीं पता किसने किया, बट आई नो कि बहुत लोगों ने किए थे, जितने भी वो कर सके. यू नो, उस वक्त नो वन वाज वर्किंग. 17-18 के थे सारे, ए लेवल्स में थे, और ए से अभी निकले थे या कुछ. ये लोग तो मुजम्मिल वगैरह अभी भी A2 में थे, एंड ऑब्वियसली पॉकेट मनी थी, बस उसमें से जो भी शेयर उन्होंने निकाला थे. बट बिकॉज ऑफ देम ना, I had money for the first semester. So they couldn't obviously do that 30 every month wali cheese. It was too over ambitious, but they did collect 1 month की मेरी semester की fee. And because of that, I told Mama, listen, ये हो गया है अभी, तो I think let me try and continue this. Maybe मैं कुछ कर लूँ और मैं साथ कुछ कर लूँगी. So then like I pay for my
education अभी छोड़ने की जरूरत नहीं है, शायद कुछ हो जाए. Gave you that hope sort of a thing.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Honestly, अगर मुज़म्मिल ये ना करता ना, मैं सही बता रही हूँ, तो मैंने probably नहीं करनी थी अपनी education complete.
Because you were about to leave it.
Yeah, I was about to leave it. I had made that decision कि यही होना है, but उसने क्योंकि वो कर दिया पहला semester ही सिर्फ at least, तो वो एक शुरू हो गया एक चीज़ कि अच्छा, let's see आगे. And then one of my mommies, she paid for another semester. तो वो एक चला गया. तो शुरू का मेरा time जो I had started working, मैं within a month or 2 months I had gotten myself a job. But I used that money to pay for stuff at home and my education for the first year at least. 2 semesters जो हैं वो मेरे friends और मामी की वजह से funded हो गए and वो उसकी वजह से एक चीज़ चल पड़ी and it never stopped, which I'm so grateful for because then एक वो वाली चीज़ को मैंने at least नहीं face किया कि मेरी बीच में education का break आया और फिर मैं दोबारा ढूंढूं continue करूँ. I was able to complete my bachelor's and then my MPhil and work alongside that.
So you were working and you funded your education and you helped at home as well.
Yeah. I mean, घर पे तो करना ही था obviously because there was no money.
Survival.
Like, वो तो ये था कि अब सब नहीं करना. And even कि मम्मा भी कुछ like maybe she can make something and we'd sell this. कुछ भी ideas हमारा था कि we used to even do that back when जब हम satellite town में थे with our dad. तभी हम ये करते थे. Like my sister used to make small beads of bracelets. I used to sell them in my class. Because जब भी वो period आता था तो obviously there was no money, so we had started, like my sister had started giving tuitions at home, and dad never found out because जब भी ये period आता था, dad used to leave the house in the morning and come back at night. So
he didn't know
कि you guys were even
doing this.
क्या हो रहा है या whatever. Either he used to stay with his parent at his mother's place, I don't know where else he went or whatever. But the thing is that's I think where he was. And तो उनको इतना idea नहीं था कि ये चीज़ें हो रही हैं. वो बाद में he used to find out जब obviously things would go back to normal for a while. So तब हमने ये किया. And I remember I started this thing back in O levels कि मैं break से पहले जाती थी 10 मिनट टीचर से permission लेके कि मैंने canteen जाना है. I used to charge everyone in the class 5 rupees and stand in line for them to get their lunch.
Oh my
so that
God.
I had lunch money. So I would stand in the line. पूरी ब्रेक में लाइन में खड़ी होती थी और सब मुझे 5 rupees देते.
And this was your own idea?
Yeah. Because I was like, I can do it, I'll be quick. And then I started working at the canteen also because auntie ने कहा चाहिए तो वो मुझे दे देती थी वैसे ही कुछ. तो मैं पूरी ब्रेक में उनकी हेल्प करती थी. And then mama used to get some brownies, तो वो then I used to sell at the canteen. तो इस तरह की कोई छोटी छोटी चीज़ें I used to figure out तब भी. तो ये हमेशा से ये था कि अब कमाना है. तो वो it wasn't I think a surprising thing for us जब हम actual में shift हुए कि अब we have to look for real jobs and work and whatnot. And my first job, was I started working at a radio station. Yeah, that was my next question.
What was your first job?
All right. So my first job was I was starting working. मुझे इसलिए वो याद है connect किया क्योंकि like उसकी भी money बहुत interesting था कि किस तरह से उसका return था. So I found a job at a radio station. My brother had a friend who was already working at a radio station. तो उससे बात की तो he said हाँ just come and give an audition and we'll see. तो रेडियो पाकिस्तान का एक इंग्लिश चैनल होता था उस वक्त. So we started looking towards that opportunity. तो मैं गई और मैंने फिर apply किया and they said yeah okay fine whatever you can do it. तो January में we came to Islamabad. March में I had started 2010. And then उस पे था 500 for a 3-hour show. ठीक है. और उस वक्त गाड़ी कुछ नहीं थी. ठीक है. तो उस 500 में से 300 लगता था टैक्सी का आना जाना because we were in G11 and that was in F5 इधर बहुत वो दूर था. और उस वक्त ये करीम वगैरह नहीं थे. वो बाहर जाके नीचे सड़क पे वेट करके टैक्सी लेके वहाँ पे जाके वापस. तो दैट वाज देयर. तब वो मुझे शुरू में ट्रांसपोर्ट भी नहीं दे रहे थे फॉर सम रीज़न. तो वो 300 उसका कटता था और 100 रुपये तकरीबन टैक्स का खर्चा था. तो आई यूज्ड टू गेट लाइक 100 रुपये और समथिंग. बट ऑब्वियसली वो 2-3 मतलब हफ्ते में मतलब एक शो थे 2 शोज थे और फिर एंड महीने में तकरीबन 8 बन जाते थे और समथिंग. तो वो फिर भी 100 नहीं था ऑब्वियसली बट इट वाज अ वेरी लाइक स्मॉल अमाउंट. वाज माय फर्स्ट जॉब. Yeah, and then just a couple of months later, like this was in March, and then June, I started working for TV. Then my sister's friend's brother was also working in a TV station, K2. तो वहाँ पे वो producer, he said कि आप apply कर लें audition के लिए.
So you were like a VJ?
I was a VJ.
Acha.
Yeah, so I was an RJ. I continued doing the radio and then I joined the TV also. I was a VJ. तो मैं वहाँ पे एक music show host किया मैंने. And then that was my second job. And I kept doing that for 2.5 years. और radio भी 2 साल. तो ये 2 चीज़ें मेरी यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ काफ़ी अर्सा चलती गई. Yeah. And then that's how I started funding.
And you funded your education.
बाकी चीज़ें सारी.
फिर कर लिया bachelor's.
फिर कर लिया बैचलर्स. हाँ, फाइनली ये हो गया. पता नहीं कैसे, बहुत ऑनेस्टली पता है, बहुत रूटीन होती थी, हेक्टिक बहुत ज़्यादा. फिर ट्रांसपोर्ट भी हो गया वो ऑब्वियसली. अब मुझे इतना स्ट्रेंज लगता है वो डब्बों में जाना और टैक्सी के लिए खड़ा होना, और इवन यूनिवर्सिटी में भी वो बाहर काफ़ी देर वेट करती. फिर एमफिल की जब मेरी क्लासेस शुरू हुई उसमें आई वॉज वर्किंग एज part of a school. I started working as a teacher in Tree House in F8, and then I was also part of Red Bull. I was working in Red Bull, and by that time I had joined PTV also. तो इन 2.5 साल के बाद मैंने फिर PTV shift किया, PTV World, and I was working with Red Bull also, part of their marketing, and or I was a teacher at Tree House. तो उस टाइम पे ना, और मेरा MPhil भी चल रहा था. उस टाइम पे was my worst routine. Oof यार, and now I think about it. सुबह मैं उठती थी 8 बजे फॉर द स्कूल. लाइक 8 बजे पहुंचती थी, तो आई यूज़ टू वेक अप बिफोर दैट. पर मैं लेट ही होती थी तो 8 बजे ही उठती होंगी. सो आई यूज़ टू गो देयर, स्पेंड टाइम टिल 3-4 ओवर देयर. और बीच में थोड़ा सा ही टाइम होता था जिसमें मैं रेड बुल की मार्केटिंग की चीज़ें हमने जाके सैम्पलिंग करनी होती थी. वो मेरे पास 2 घंटे होते थे मुश्किल से, 3 से 5 तक. आई कुड पुश इट अ लिटिल. 5 से 8 मेरी एमफिल की क्लासेस होती थी. तो 5 से 8 में मैं बहरिया जाती थी एमफिल की क्लासेस लेने, और 8 के बाद 9, 10, 11 तक मेरी बुलेटिन्स होते थे. तो आई यूज टू पीटीवी पे गेट डन फ्रॉम देयर एट 11:30, एंड देन आई यूज टू कम बैक होम मिडनाइट 1 बजे तक सो के, एंड देन ऑल ओवर अगेन. ये 18-hour शिफ्ट थी मेरी तकरीबन. दैट वाज क्रेजी. मुझे झटके लगते थे एमफिल की क्लास में. आई वाज सो टायर्ड हर वक्त. मुझे याद है एक दफ़ा मैं एक टीचर ने एस मार्क किया मुझे अटेंडेंस में. दैट आई वाज स्लीपिंग द होल क्लास. राइट इन द फ्रंट आई वाज स्नोरिंग. आई डिड नॉट रियलाइज. मुझे बाद में लोगों ने बताया कि तुम व्हाट द हेल.
So your life must have been very different from your friends. Didn't you feel a little out of
यार I did. हाँ I did.
इनको तो पता ही like कितने डिफरेंट होंगे वो.
डिफरेंट यार, देखो पता नहीं, मुझे लगता है कि फिर भी everyone's dealing with their own problems.
Yeah,
but then you can never measure grief, you can never compare pain or problems and say कि अच्छा life इतनी मुश्किल है और कि नहीं. They're dealing with their own level, और सबके अपने level thresholds होते हैं, अपने tolerance levels होते हैं. तो who's to say कि आपकी life ज़्यादा मुश्किल है.
But I don't mean in terms of how difficult your life was, but how sort of out of the norm it was. Right? Because it wasn't conventional.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. Like
so it's difficult for people around to sort of understand when it's different.
Like I said, मैंने इसीलिए वो छोड़ दिया ना. realized conversations में भी मतलब मेरे इश्यूज या मेरा दिन जो गुजरा है उसमें मैंने लाइक क्या फील किया, क्या एक्सपीरियंस किया, उसकी बात और नॉर्मल कॉन्वर्सेशंस व्हेन वी आर हैंगिंग आउट वेरी डिफरेंट. तो फिर मैंने वो नहीं की because nobody used to understand that, right? Like,
and you don't blame anyone for it.
Yeah,
they just can't.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm thinking कि अच्छा टमाटर की प्राइस बढ़ गई, and people are discussing about like next iPhone आ रहा है और ये वो. तो how am I supposed to relate? I couldn't relate and they couldn't relate with me obviously. तो वो थोड़ा सा एक बीच में था, this gap in the conversation. लेकिन ठीक था because
and you get vibe because of your friends.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, honestly.
Their breath of fresh air.
Yeah, honestly, I think जितना like बहुत क्लीशेड सा स्टेटमेंट है. सब कहते हैं कि मुश्किल वक्त में पता चल जाता है, बट ऑनेस्टली इट्स वेरी ऑब्वियस who's there for you and who's not. And it was so surprising and so humbling for me that so many of my friends were there for me and they stepped up. And
that's amazing.
Like for example, the money thing, aaj tak no one has said to me कि उन्होंने दिए. And I don't know to this day किसने contribute किया, किसने नहीं किया. And in so many other ways that helped me, that a lot of my friends would pick and drop me. Salman Hijazi used to do that a lot. A lot of other of my friends, Osama Jilani used to be there for me. So many of my friends have helped
in
me so much. Little things, like just being there for me and making sure I'm okay or whatever, pay for my food, a lot of these things. And I'm so grateful, honestly. I don't think like no journey is like done on your own. Like there's always people who are there, like they're helping you and making life so much easier for you. तो मेरे friends की तो बहुत major contribution है.
So ये तो like we discussed के the financial aspect and the education aspect and everything. But अपना घर छोड़ना मतलब जो इतने सालों से था, and divorce हो गई पेरेंट्स की, by the way.
So I missed that part.
Because she left, right?
Yeah, she did. So basically, January में हम लोग move किए थे, and then in September we found out that my dad had remarried.
Achha.
So he remarried this person he used to have an affair with before his marriage, and the whole Khandan knew about it, so it was common knowledge. Lekin after his engagement to my mother, he told her that that's over and all of that, and my mother never
asked question.
No, yeah, she was, like I said, she was very simple and she was very trusting, and she just said ki, हाँ ठीक है, he's saying it, so he means it. But apparently she had not married, and they just got married in September, and it was on my birthday. Can you imagine? It was my birthday gift.
Oh my God, Sana.
No, it wasn't that bad. Honestly, I'm saying that like this because I was happy. I was happy, and my mother was not happy at all. But I was happy because at that point I realized my mother said that, I realized that my mother still thought that there was room to go back. She said like मुझे लगता था कि वो realize कर लेगा कि हमने अलग इस्लामाबाद के आ जाएगा और बच्चों को
she'd want this is what she needed to do for him to switch.
Yeah, कि obviously who doesn't want kids और बच्चों से आगे क्या and stuff like that. And I was like, Mama, 30 years you know this man, you don't, like, how can you still expect him to be okay? And if that was what was in your mind, and I was really shocked because because ये कभी नहीं हुआ था ना कि हमने अपना घर लिया, नौकरियां शुरू की, ये चीजें.
For you there was no going back.
ये हो रहा था. I was like, अब तो we've built another life. Why are we going to go back? So I was very happy कि चलो, because of this marriage, this door has been closed for my mother. I was there, and I remember my mother just said, "You're so stupid," और तुम इतनी बेवकूफ हो, तुम्हें कुछ समझ नहीं आ रही life की. Because I was laughing and happy, and I was like, I am happy. I don't know कि आपको ये क्यों है.
Yeah, and because she remarried, the doors finally closed.
Yeah, what I couldn't understand, and she thought that I couldn't understand, and I also couldn't understand about her, was the fact कि ये कौन सी इतनी बड़ी बात है कि अगर दूसरी शादी कर ली. What about the torture and the violence and all of that? Yeah. Isn't that worse? Like, शादी की है ना, बस ठीक है छोड़ दें, like, okay, whatever. Like, I get it, it's a big deal. But my point was कि this is still not as harmful as the torture and humiliation that you've gone through. I get it. If it was like a normal happy marriage and then, he cheated or he married somebody else, okay, I understand. But he's like not been there for you. He's not like he's not been there for you as a husband. So अगर अब उन्होंने किसी और से शादी करी, how is this bigger?
Yeah, why is this the reason for the doors closing?
But you know what, ठीक है, सबकी अपनी limits होती हैं, सबको कुछ अपनी चीज़ ज़्यादा में, उनके लिए ज़्यादा बड़ी बात थी for somebody. I still can't understand why, लेकिन उनके लिए है. And because of this, she had the courage then कि अब तो scene नहीं है. Now I'm going to file for a divorce.
Then she filed for divorce.
So then we filed for a divorce, and through the court and everything, like ये था कि बस अब it's over and everything.
Yeah.
तो वो फिर वो process हुआ सारा.
Yeah, so what I was actually gonna ask when you asked कि divorce कब हुई, कि क्या हमने discuss किया उसके बाद की life जिसमें आपने financially अपनी family को support किया और आप लोगों ने you finished and funded your own education and everything. But what about the sort of mental side of the emotional side of then what went down in your family or with your mother? Because I'm sure like she left her home, you kids left your home, so दूसरी चीज़ें भी तो होती हैं ना, एक और sort of survival भी तो होता है ना, the resilience you have to find in yourself to move on and everything.
Definitely it's not easy. मतलब शुरू में तो बस यही था कि मतलब you have to try and find food on the table, right? तो उस चीज़ में आप लग जाओ उसमें. लेकिन जो आई थिंक आपका जो मेंटल इम्पैक्ट आता है या साइकोलॉजिकल इम्पैक्ट आता है किसी भी ट्रॉमा का, वो आराम से आता है शायद, या बाद में जब जब चीज़ें ठीक हो रही हों तब आता है. लेकिन फॉर माई मदर इट केम सून, लाइक ऑब्वियसली शी हैड गॉन थ्रू 30 years ऑफ दिस थिंग, तो वो कभी ना कभी तो आना था. शी इज़ वेरी रिजिलियंट. ऑनेस्टली आई हैव नेवर सीन एनीवन सो रिजिलियंट लाइक हर, बिकॉज टू दिस डे फॉर अ पर्सन टू लिव सच अ लाइफ, her laughter is still so genuine. Like sometimes she laughs, I'm just like, how can you laugh so fully? Like, there's nothing in that laugh that is sad. And I love that. And she's been able to somehow also still retain that. She doesn't think that she's strong, but I think she's been very strong, throughout this. Obviously, she went through all of that and she didn't put up a fight, but there were so many conditions. People used to push her so much, and she did for the children. So she was trying her best, to make sure that we were okay. I do still tell her I wish she would have left sooner, but understand इतनी learned helplessness हो जाती है, बहुत मुश्किल होता है toxic relationship से निकलना. और ये उनके साथ luckily हो गया, ये बहुत अच्छी बात है, and for all of us that she was able to make this move. But उनका फिर psychological impact obviously बहुत ज़्यादा हुआ, and उसके बाद basically ऊपर नीचे भी बहुत सारी चीज़ें होती हैं, which is also why she didn't even have room to grieve and like understand and process this, because like 6 months बाद, like I said, my father remarried. उसके 6-7 महीने बाद my nano passed away. उसके 6-7 महीने बाद my mamu passed away. Then another mamu passed away. Then my nanabu passed away. There were like 4 or 5 deaths simultaneously in a period of like 2-3 years. Her 6-7 months के बाद. So her family just sort of started like diminishing, and she had to go through all of that after that. And then she's really phobic of operations. So she had hernia 28 years ka. Can you imagine? 28 years since she had it in her, inside her, and she wouldn't do it. And then she had a gallbladder problem. So they said, ये तो अब निकालना ही है, तो साथ hernia का भी होगा. And she was so phobic that she went through that operational phase thinking that she's not going to come out. She had told the entire खानदान to take care of her children and do this for her. तो वो एक और period था जिसमें पता नहीं वो psychologically like वैसे भी वो इतनी वो थी कि she couldn't handle that at all. She was so scared and so depressed, and was just resigned कि this is it, she won't come back. तो वो ऑपरेशन के बाद भी थोड़ी कॉम्प्लिकेशंस हो गई उसकी रिकवरी में. शी गॉट रियली फिजिकली वीक. वो एक और चैप्टर आ गया. और ये सारी चीज़ें फर्स्ट 3-4 ईयर्स में होती गई, तो उनको वो जो ग्रीफ प्रोसेस करने का टाइम था वो तो मिला ही नहीं. उसके बाद देन दैट केम आउट एंड शी गॉट सुपर डिप्रेस्ड. देन शी गॉट सुपर डिप्रेस्ड टू द पॉइंट कि वो बाथरूम नहीं जा सकती थी अकेली. लाइट ऑफ होती थी तो उन्हें डर लगता था. We used to go to work or university. She used to beg us to come back. She'd call everyone and cry. She used to stand in front of our rooms holding the door and crying, just being scared. बहुत बहुत उनका ना डिप्रेसिंग जो फेज था वो डिप्रेशन का.
How was that
that was
for
very
you
difficult
to deal with? मतलब
यार मुझे लगता है honestly looking back, I could have handled it better. Honestly looking back, I think it's not, obviously it's very difficult to go through it, but it's very difficult to also live with a person who's so depressed and a person who's your mother.
That's what I mean, like
so close to you.
Yeah, how do you deal with that?
It's very hard to remember it's the depression talking. And if it's not the person, you know, there was so much going on. I have to go to work, I have to go to university, and you know, she'd say things to make me feel bad about it or feel guilty that, you know, like you guys are leaving your mother and you don't care and all of that, you know, she was going through her own thing, and it was just to reconcile all that, make her understand.
But you were hearing that. You were hearing that.
Yeah. And try to get that positivity for her. It was very difficult. Like, I just feel like, मतलब मैंने बहुत कोशिश की और हम सब ने की कि, you know, to keep her positive and to keep her वो, and we wanted her to go through therapy also, and I took her to a psychologist as well. She wouldn't want to go. She didn't want to spend the money also there, and she didn't want to take the medicines. And even the psychologist said that she has to be willing to have, you know, let this work. तो वो एक बहुत आई थिंक टाइम था जिसमें अब मुझे लुकिंग बैक लगता है कि और भी ज़्यादा पेशेंस से आपको डील करना चाहिए, या और भी ज़्यादा, you know, affectionate होना चाहिए towards somebody who's like depressed. Like, I don't know,
but it's not easy.
It's not easy. It wasn't. Obviously it was.
I think every time you're going to look back at something like this, you will be like,
हाँ,
I could have done
कर
it.
सकते थे. हाँ, I know, but you know, it's just like you'd come back and you know, like this person is going to say what's the point of life and stuff, you know. And it's not easy to for yourself to get out of bed when you hear that all the time, because it's very easy to think हाँ नहीं है कोई point.
Yeah.
You know?
I was gonna say that didn't it affect your own mental health?
Because it was very hard to stay positive, and to, you know, keep functioning and doing things knowing that it's important to do it, and then also try and take her along and make her feel, you know, okay ab ye hai wo, because she'd feel like there's nothing there, no purpose left, and all of that, and it just everything I did felt selfish, you know. So it was very difficult. But I don't know, I feel like जब हम निकले थे ना in 2010, तो for me at least role एकदम से overnight reverse हो गया था. I thought I was the parent and she's the child. For in my head since 2010, that's been the case. Like बस मुझे था कि अब मैंने
संभालना है,
you know. Pata nahi kyun. I mean, even when I was in, like I said, even with my dad, I'd become this person who started trying to spend some time with him in the lounge or do it for him and everything. With my mother also, I used to see हम सब कमरे में होते थे, एक कमरे में हम चारों. My sister would be reading a book, or my brother would be on the computer, and my mother would be cutting something up, or I don't know, just sitting there. तो मैं अगर म्यूजिक सुनती थी या बुक पढ़ती थी ना, I used to look at her and feel, what's her life? Like हम बच्चे अपना लगे हुए and she's living such a terrible life and no one's talking. So I had stopped doing anything for myself तब से ही. I had just like, अच्छा मैंने मम्मा को company देनी है. So I do all the things that she does just to give her company. And I started developing this hatred for books and music and everything that used to take me away from the current situation, because I had the earphones in and I was enjoying, and then I used to put the earphones out and everything's still there. We're still living in that messed up situation. And I used to hate, and to this day I've started hating escape. I just hate any form of escape, because I just feel like there's no point. There is none, there is no escape. You have to turn back and face things.
The music.
They'll always haunt you.
And if you face it, then you solve it. Otherwise,
so I just stopped reading books or stopped listening to music. Like now I feel like a lot of the times I have conversations with people, something I used to feel like they'd say, अच्छा ये वो चीज़, and I used to feel like, like इतना टाइम मैंने वो चीज़ें नहीं की, और बहुत देर बाद मुझे I was able to come back to those things and pick up a book and read something, or like enjoy some music and appreciate that and find that love again for them because of something I used to enjoy for myself, just me. वो बहुत पहले ख़त्म हो गया था, and that was problematic for me बाद में जाके, because it wasn't healthy. Obviously it wasn't balanced. This is what that psychologist actually said when we took mama to her. At the end of it, unka apna session, and then she brought all of us together and she said, you need to do this and we need to start on medication and everything. And then we need to also talk about...
You took your mom to a therapist.
Yeah, and then she was just like, we also need to like talk about your relationship with your daughter and how we'll like separate. Because I had never had a room of my own in Satellite Town. We used to live all four of us in one room. When we came to our flat in G11, तो दो rooms थे उसमें, तो एक में my brother used to sleep, and me, my sister and mother, we used to sleep in one. Then when we moved to another house, my sister got a room, because obviously they've also never had their room, so it was their they were first in line, and then much later, actually, in fact, last year in March, I got my room for the first time. I was 28, 29. I had my own space for the first time. So I was sharing space with my mother for a long time also. She just said, we need to do something about this, and we need to do something about the relationship as well, and you're relying too much on her and everything. And मुझे सब समझ नहीं आई. Like, this was when I was 19, 20. And I was just like, why is she saying that? Like, मैं तो ठीक हूँ, what the hell? I don't mind, like, I'm energetic and enthusiastic and I'm doing this and all of that. Or I have to make her feel better, and I enjoy my time with her. And me and my mother have a great relationship. So I didn't get it. And then my mother's like, nahi, ye to, she's my biggest moral support and all of that. Nahi, ye to. And she said, no, this is not for you. It's for her. It's not good for her. And I did not understand that at that point. And much later, when things really like affected me, is I think when I understand what she meant. बहुत बाद में, I think मेरा भी फिर बहुत बाद में, बहुत delayed आया था वो this reaction to all of this drama. शुरू में तो बस ये था, बस ये करना है, this goal you have to do. And my immediate reaction to anything is, अच्छा करना क्या है, solution क्या है, what's the action? So I'm very solution oriented. I thrive in crisis situations, I think, because they're familiar, obviously. तो जब सब ठीक हो गया ना, like then my siblings got married, like उनकी शादियाँ, उनकी बच्चे हो गए, and everything was fine. And we had gotten ourselves a better house, we gotten ourselves a car, my education was complete, everybody had jobs, everything was just smooth. Now our struggles were not the struggles of a dysfunctional, abnormal family. Now it was the struggle of a normal family who's trying to survive or progress or be better, whatever. And I had a sustainable job. I'd been working at PTV, and I had started university. I had started teaching at university. I teach at NAST currently also. और मेरी वो 18-hour shift नहीं होगी, अब मेरी अच्छी एक normal सी routine थी, and relaxed, and our time off also and everything. तो सब ठीक हो गया. And then I think that's when I broke down. That's when
because I think you were running on adrenaline ki you need to fix. Now that it's fixed,
now
then
what do I do?
Yeah.
Now there was nothing left for me to do, no role to play. And it was so scary. There was no chaos around, but there was so much chaos inside me. I was so negative.
Because you've been absorbing that chaos,
Yeah.
and now बाहर से तो खत्म हो गया, but you've been absorbing it.
Yeah, and that was a very, very difficult time for me. Everything was fine, and I was just going crazy. I just didn't know what to do. I was so negative, so resentful. I remember I didn't want to come back home. I used to come back home from my job and park outside and just look at my house and think, maine nahi jana andar. Like, what do I do? And everything was so exhausting, and I just, pata nahi, बहुत dark मेरा वो period था. I can't really even explain it. मुझे like क्या feel हो रहा था उस वक्त.
And it's odd कि like I mean you would think अब तो सब सही है.
हाँ.
तो अब मेरे साथ क्या मसला है?
And people around me used to, like my siblings or my mother even used to say कि what's the problem? And and I just couldn't be normal. And it was such a strange, it was so sad for me also कि this is a time for me to enjoy my family life. Like the first time there was a child in the house, अब आगे चीज़ें बढ़िया, I had a nephew and everything. So everyone's happy, like mother's in a better state of mind, and I was just not feeling it. And that was very difficult for me to reconcile with now, because I had played that positive role and people were also not used to seeing me like this. And I was not used to at all showing my vulnerability, or especially at home. Like friends ke saath to phir bhi I had started talking about it again. But with my family and with my mother, I had never shown it.
Yeah, you were always the pillar of strength, right?
Yeah.
So like dam se...
Yeah, and I think I've taken that pretense game from her also, because I used to cry like shit in the bathroom and come out smiling, and no one could tell. No one could tell ever what had been going on. And sometimes I've really felt कि किसी को आ जाए ना सर, but वो नहीं आता था, because I used to be so good at it. If somebody would tell, it was because I had shown it. It was because I had left that crack open. You had allowed it. Yeah, I had allowed it. If I don't want somebody to see it, they will never see it. And I just feel like because of that, I couldn't really express my feelings to my family, because I had taken up that role of the parent, had taken up that role of being that positive person and being that fixer, that I couldn't say कि अब मैं क्या करूँ, अब क्या हो रहा है, and I can't handle it and I don't know what to do. So I couldn't really express it very clearly to my family also. So there was a lot of like gap because of that, because I was going through something and I was not showing it and they couldn't understand it, and it was a very difficult time. And I'm so glad that I started taking therapy after a while, like after a year or a year and a half of this though, because I think it's not an easy decision to make.
Yes.
And it's an even difficult decision to maintain, I think. Like आप चले भी जाते हो, फिर आप पता नहीं उसको continue करो या नहीं करो, and it's such a taboo also. And it's just that within the family also भी ये बात करना कि इतना क्या मसला है, सब तो ठीक है कि तुम therapy जा रही हो, like what is wrong with you? So I didn't share it with anyone when I started.
Oh, you secretly took it?
Yeah, I secretly took. No one knew कि मैं जा रही थी. And I took it secretly for a while. फिर मैंने बता दिया काफ़ी end पे that I've been doing this for a while now, but nobody knew beforehand. Like I told my sister, because she was going through something of her own as well, and then I told her, okay, I've been doing this and it's helping me, so maybe you should give it a try also. And then I think within the therapy also, then I started realizing that I'm not ashamed of it. I'm actually proud of this thing that I've done it, that I've taken this decision.
It takes courage to take therapy.
Yeah, because it's not easy.
It's not. Because you have to put yourself in such a vulnerable position, and being vulnerable for me is equivalent to being courageous.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Yeah. It's very difficult. And retelling everything is reliving it, like it's an exhausting experience to go through all of that again and dissect it and figure out the whys and the hows and but it was such a discovery for me.
But look, mashallah, you're so sorted today. Like the way that you've told your story, it comes off from such a sorted person.
I do feel that I'm doing much better now, personally. Like otherwise, तो ठीक है, वो तो एक हमने कर लिया एक struggle. But personally, to reach this point of who I am as a person, I honestly never thought I could. Like मैं कभी imagine भी नहीं कर सकती that I was going to be able to be this sort of a person with these conceptions and unlearn the things that I had learned and relearn new the things. I never thought it was possible. Like, like how we say, ki, for example, कि, we want to learn how to say no more, कि I wish I would say no more or whatever. Yeah, ना random सी कोई चीज़ आपको पता होता है कि ये आपको करना है. You know that you must do it. You just don't know how to do it or be that person. I knew what I should have been, or I knew what sort of person I wanted to be, but I couldn't be that person. My concepts of selfishness and self-care was so mixed and so complicated. And this is because of my mother, because me and my mother also share the same personality. So we're almost ditto in a lot of ways. बस जो generational differences हैं, I think वो थोड़े से उनके concepts थोड़े पुराने हैं और मेरे different हैं. But as people, we're almost the same person. तो उनसे मैंने यही चीज़ें जो सीखी हैं वो आज तक उनकी वही हैं, लेकिन I have changed them now. Like मेरे लिए कुछ भी करना, for example, like I said, मेरे लिए म्यूज़िक सुनना was a selfish thing. मुझे गिल्ट होता था, हर चीज़ का गिल्ट होता था. And it was not just for my mother, for everyone, for random people also. I used to feel guilty all the time. And there was no concept of self-worth, no self-love. Like, I felt worthless, completely worthless. There were times that, again, cliched, but I wouldn't be able to get out of bed. I was just like, what's the point? मैं खुद बहुत depressed हो गई, बहुत time के लिए. And I was just, I had put myself in situations where I harmed myself. In terms of relationships, so let myself be taken for granted or be exploited. Especially my relationship with men or boys was, difficult. Toxic because for me that toxicity was what I had always known.
It was familiar.
Yeah, and it's so strange. It's so strange. Even saying it is so strange. Why would a person do that? But that's what happens.
होता है because you're familiar with it.
Yeah.
So you go for it.
It's okay. No matter how crazy it is or how bad it is for you, how miserable you are, you'll still run after that. And मुझे वो समझ ही नहीं आती थी कि इसमें मेरा कोई problem है. But after a while I saw that pattern. I said, if I'm doing this all over again and I'm always falling for the wrong people, there's got to be something that I'm doing wrong. Whenever there's a pattern, I feel one should always check, कि आप क्या change कर सकते हो. And because of, I think, that therapy, how I look at myself changed so much, and I processed so many things and grieved so many things that I didn't, because all of this time I was just thinking कि मम्मा के लिए ये करना है, घर के लिए ये करना है, अब ये करना है, वो करना है. I'd never processed, okay, I've left a father. Okay, now a figure is out of my life. Okay, this, ये एक चीज़ वो हो गई है. I never I don't know, like मैंने कभी pause नहीं किया और ये सोचा कि अच्छा इसके बारे में भी मुझे वो करनी है, इसका भी मुझे दुख है, तो वो सारी चीज़ें वो 2.5 years almost I took therapy, and obviously it's a slow process, it's an expensive process, but I feel like it was the best investment I made, because my therapist, he told me that you'll come out of this. I didn't believe him, honestly. I was just like, ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता. The good thing that I did was I kept going through, even though I felt at some point कि useless है. मैं उसको कह देती थी कि मुझे useless लग रहा है, या बहुत exhausting था. I used to tell him like, maybe it's not working out. But I just kept going because I felt और कोई रास्ता है नहीं, यही है. जैसे like conflict resolution बस dialogue है. At the end of the day, जितना भी आप लड़ाई कर लो, जितने भी military चीज़ें कर लो, at the end of the day, it's dialogue. तो उसी तरह I felt like मेरे पास यही एक चीज़ है, and I want to see the end of it and see if I can actually make it. And
you made it.
I did. It's so surprising, Hamna, that has happened to me. And the things that came out of my mouth, I think therapy is so important. I feel like it's not just important for people who go through traumatic experiences. For everyone, even people with normal childhoods, because there is so much going on in our childhood. You don't even know
you've been absorbing and learning and internalizing. आपने वो पहली चीजें normalize भी की हुई होती हैं, आपको नहीं पता होता.
And it impacts everything and every relationship in your life.
Yes.
And I didn't want that to be the rest of my life. जो मैंने थोड़ी सी चीज़ें एक्सपीरियंस की, I didn't want कि मैं आगे भी अपने relationships में वही चीज़ करूँ, या मैं घर पे भी बैलेंस ना रख सकूँ और मेरी एक अनहेल्दी रिलेशनशिप और मैं इतनी नेगेटिव हो गई. I wanted to be able to do that. I never thought I could, but वो हो गया, and I'm so glad and grateful to my therapist also that he helped me out of it, and that my friends encouraged me to do this, because I think because of that, now I am someone that people do see the change in. My mother sees the change, my friends see the change. I feel the change in my behavior, in my perspective in life. Like I like myself more. Can you imagine, like, my therapist told me to say one kind thing about myself. And he said, don't mean it. Just say it. Just say something nice. Just, like, random sa koi ek sentence. And he said, just don't mean it. Just lie. And I couldn't say it. It didn't come out of my mouth. It just didn't come out of my mouth. And I was so surprised. I was so surprised that why would anyone think of themselves like this? It's so stupid. Who else do we have if we're not?
And if you've been giving so many kindness to others, how can you not find it in yourself for yourself, Sana?
It's so strange. It's very strange.
But it's true.
But it's true. ऐसा हो जाता है. I think बहुत common है. I think self-worth problems बहुत common है. And it's so amazing कि आप जब बदलते हो, फिर आप अपना outlook भी बदलते हो, अपनी relationship positive करते हो. Because at the end of the day, my mother and I both, when we try to do so much and compensate so much, we're just trying to save the relationship, right? Which is so afraid of losing people. She is too, and so am I. But now I've realized that me trying to stop that from happening is actually making it happen.
Yeah.
Balance is the key. If I'm being the person who people can walk all over, then there is no relationship to begin with.
Yeah.
If I don't keep the balance.
And the self-worth wali cheez ki wo thi nahi, and then you were having all these toxic people in your life and relationships.
Yeah.
वो इसीलिए because आपकी self-worth कम है.
Exactly.
So when you value yourself और आपको अपनी self-worth का पता हो, then you choose the right people for yourself because you know what you deserve.
Yeah, because before that, honestly, I was happy with the crumbs that people used to throw for me. I was like, okay, oh my God, I'm getting these crumbs, awesome. Such a big
because you
deal.
don't know what you deserve.
I was so happy. I was so satisfied with that. And I used to feel like मुझे like कैसे हो सकता है कि मुझे एक normal अच्छा boy पसंद आ सकता है. But now I feel like good because I feel like now I won't be able to respect a person who wouldn't be respectful towards me.
Yeah.
Before that, it was okay. It was all right if he wasn't. Now it's like, but I can't like you.
Yeah,
if you do that.
and I deserve a certain level of respect and
and
to be treated a certain way.
Yeah. So I'm so glad that has changed for me.
So last question.
Yeah.
What is your life like now?
Life like now.
10 to 20. 10 years. 2020 now.
Right.
It's been a decade. And what is it like now? What is your lifestyle like in terms of socially and financially and all of that? And what all are you doing now?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's changed so much. So what I'm doing right now is that I'm still working in a school. I've joined a school again. And I go there in the mornings, and then I have evenings at PDU. I think I've also developed a sort of workaholic habit because I've done it so much. Now I feel unproductive if I don't do it.
I completely understand that. I'm like that too.
Now which is so sad because I've never wanted to be that person. But I do enjoy my own time
as long as you love it.
Yeah, I do enjoy the work and I enjoy my own time as well. So I find that space as well. So I feel like
same.
It's okay. I don't think it's unhealthy. I don't know if other people would agree, but I think it's fine. So, and I teach at NUST also. That's just a 2-hour lecture once a week. But the rest, mostly, a part of the week is my school and my
school, PTV, and NUST.
Yeah, I'm doing 3 things. Yeah, currently. I really enjoy teaching, so it's a lot of fun.
But is it still because of financial?
So the thing is, it is also because of financial reasons. Why? Because there's a lot of inflation that's been going on, and आपकी salary increases उस तरह से नहीं reflect करते in our country, unfortunately. और दूसरा ये कि a lot of people and dynamics in the house changed. So after 5 years, like 2005 mein, my sister got married. So she left, and she was also a person who was bringing income in the house. So
she
that part left. So wo bhi compensate hona tha. And then my brother married, he had his own expenses. So uska bhi part jo hai wo compensate hona tha.
Obviously earnings are being directed in another way.
So because of that, now a lot of it has been on me for a long time. So now things have also increased, and because my brother's family is expanding, so now we have a setup where he has a different portion and I have a different portion. And I also wanted that, to be honest. I wanted हमने 10 साल की एक चीज, and it was important to have that sort of separation, to have that space, because
definitely,
when you're too involved, it creates problems. And I didn't want to have the same sort of family toxic setup that we've come out and tried so hard to escape. And I really wanted to be able to do things that you can foresee and do them before to prevent them from happening. So now we also have that sort of setup. So I have like a whole house to provide also currently. My brother still contributes. So it's also all of that with like, there's still rent, there's still bills. But I still feel like it's
But
still
lifestyle
okay. You know, it's not
improved
just...
because you were living in a flat.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
now you're like probably living in a better
now we're living in a
space.
proper house. We have a whole house. We have a separate portion.
That's
the whole thing. We have
amazing.
I bought my own car.
You've done this, Sana. You've done all this. एक चीज़ होती है कि survive करना. एक चीज़ होती है, you know, step up भी करना. So you've mashallah stepped up. You've improved your family's life, and you're working, and you finished your education, and you did everything. So it's more than just वो करना जिसकी ज़रूरत थी, but to actually changing your life, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think
you
now
changed your life.
It's very different. I just bought a car of my own last month. So before that, me and my brother used to share. So, you know, I have an asset of my own. So that's something I'm very happy about. And last year, I traveled to Thailand with my friends. That was one of the biggest things also that I did. I never thought I could do that. Honestly, I never thought I would
Never
be able
say
to
never, Sana.
afford. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Never say never. I never thought, you know, I could. Because again, you know, like when people used to hang out, this was, you know, very common, these things of traveling and going to this place or that place. And I always used to feel very alien in those conversations because I don't know what that meant. And then I remember after one of my trips at a get-together, I was the one telling my stories, and I was just like, I'm so happy that I'm there now, that, you know, and it's not just something that, you know, is like I felt complexed about, but I've always wanted to do it. I've always wanted to be able to travel and do these things, and I couldn't imagine ki ho sakta tha, but I've done that girls' trip. And I did it on my own. So I was very happy that I did that thing also.
Amazing.
So it's, I think right now my life is pretty smooth in a lot of ways. My mother obviously is still dealing with things. She has psychological problems still that she's trying to deal with. She's a lot better though, but she's still dealing with it. She's obviously getting physically older as well. So वो चीज़ें वो हैं. But I still feel कि because especially therapy से, जब आपको एक दफ़ा समझ आ जाए कि आपने करना कैसे है, तो फिर बाकी वाली चीज़ें आई थिंक बहुत ईजी हो जाती हैं. लाइक आई सेड कि अगर मुझे ये जिस तरह की मेरे पास अभी है स्किल्स जो मैं इक्विप करती हूँ इन टर्म्स ऑफ माई ओन पर्सनल थिंग्स एंड माई पर्सनैलिटी, अगर मेरे पास पहले होता जब मामा वॉज डिप्रेस्ड बिफोर, आई वुड हैव हैंडल्ड इट बेटर मे बी, यू नो. But like now I know how to strike that balance also. I know how much I can give to my mother as well, to my other relations, how much I need to give to myself, how to be able to enjoy my own time without guilt. It's hard still. It's a fight still to cancel out that guilty feeling. But I do it despite, and I know it's important. So I think personally, I really like it. And I just turned 30 2 months ago. And all my life, all this year, I remember your brother, me and him always talk about the fact that जब साल शुरू होता है ना तो हमें लगता है कि हम बस we've turned that other age जो हमने उस साल में होना होता है. तो since January I was just like बस मैं हो गई हूँ 30. And this, you know, this thing, this 30 has this pressure in our society, especially for a woman and the single woman. तो मुझे बस ये था कि, you know what, how am I going to feel, and, you know, I was just dreading it all year. But honestly, Hamna, this, as soon as it happened, I don't know what it is, and I thought it might fade away after the birthday, but it still lasted, abhi tak to. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about my decade. I feel like 30s is going to be the best decade.
That's
I feel like generally be best hoti hai ki all the crap is out of your system. There's still hope. You're young, you're ambitious, you can do things.
I think because you've figured out stuff now, a lot of it.
Yeah.
So now you're looking forward to the time, and you're excited.
Grounded, and you learn so much.
Well. Yeah.
I think so. I think if you ask me what I feel the most, like currently, I'm just excited.
That's amazing.
Excited about the future. Okay.
Thank you, Sana.
No
that was so nice. I mean, it was such an empowering story, and with so many lessons, and मतलब बहुत अच्छी थी.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you called me. I had a great time.
It just feels like it, you know, looking at you now, and the past 10 years that you've been through, and before that actually, 10 years mein to life started to change, and
Yeah.
it's taken all this time to get you
Yeah.
where you are. So in the way that you look back at it, and वही मैं बारह बात करना चाह रही हूँ कि you sound so sorted and self-aware, and you know what you've done, and
Yeah.
you've come out of the depression and everything as well. So I think that's what I wanted people to know who are listening to this podcast as well. Ki this is not a sob story. It's a story of strength and of resilience, and how you can change your life if you want to.
Yeah. To be honest, I've never looked at my life thinking कि why me or ये ऐसा क्या हुआ,
exactly.
क्यों
You
हुआ?
didn't pity yourself. You didn't pity yourself, right?
I still don't, because you know, people have it so much worse. People are dealing with so much crap.
That's honestly, why you did what you did. Because अगर आप self pity में चले जाओ ना, if you keep looking at yourself as a victim in a situation, you can't get out of it.
Yeah.
But if you think कि you know, एक तो ये कि I have to figure this out now, like face the music, deal with it.
Yeah. The onus is on you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You take control of your life, and you stop feeling like I'm entitled for someone to come and fix this shit for me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to fix it myself.
Yeah.
And that's what you've done. So, matlab, for everybody, lots of people out there, some may have it worse, some may have it better. But it's a story for everyone to learn something from. So thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Happy Chirp. You may have noticed that Sana and I knew each other from before. She's a friend of my husband and my brother both, because they all went to the same school. But I've never had this sort of... It was always, you know, Sana's Muzammil's friend and my brother's friend, and we've never sort of spoken like this. So it was very nice. And a lot of things I didn't know about this story. So, but yeah, thank you again for tuning in, and see you again next time. Allah Hafiz.